Today's show brought to you live from Lounge Media Group Studios. It's Pedro and the Freight Hound with the Logistics Lounge. The views and opinions expressed on this show by its guests are not necessarily those of Lounge Media Group or the show host. So if you sue someone, make sure it's the party responsible for hurting your feelings. Also, grow up, be an adult, and understand not everyone thinks like you. And that's okay.
Yo, 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 what is crack-a-lackin' happening, Captain? All you lovely people.
Happy Wednesday.
Is it Wednesday? It is Wednesday. I don't know if it's Friday, Saturday. I don't fucking know what day it is anymore, bro. They're all the same. They all just like run together.
That they do.
Ain't that the damn truth? Finally got a little fresh air today, though. It's been like a really weird, rough past week and some change, but you know what? That's why we stay in logistics, though. Feels good to get all those problems solved. But hey, Dirty Dre, appreciate you putting on the shirt for us. Which
Yeah, our guest will be here soon.
Make you feel like you that's the only thing you have besides the hat and glasses and headphones on. But welcome to it.
I'll stay in my seat.
Yeah. What's going on in your world today, brother?
Not much. Glad I finally got the inland port stuff all set up in new edition. So yeah, now that that's behind me, I'm just moving forward. How about you guys? What's going on with you, Pedro?
Dude, nothing. I'm sitting here trying to get our guest into the show. Other than that, fantastic week, man. Got some new customers. Made a post about that today. There's our guest. Paul, if you can hear us, we'll bring you up here in a minute, my brother. Glad you were able to finally get in. But week has been good, dude. Went and got my brand new Puma glasses today. Whoop whoop! Telling you, man. Dude, I love Puma, dude. For one, they it's the brother of the other brother that they both started Adidas or Adidas, and Puma is the official apparel for frickin' Ferrari and the Ferrari racing team. And so, I love that. And yeah, I don't know, love them. But I've had the same glasses for 2 years, man. And so like they're all scratched up, dude. And I've been waiting for these, bro. It's like it's so clear. It's so nice.
You don't have big glares in them either. So they must
true.
They're
true.
Fast. You look fast.
Yeah. I know. I feel fast.
Your miles have gone down a couple minutes.
I feel fast, but my wife she's made fun of me a few times. She's like, "You're the only person I know that gets excited about glasses." like, dude, you tell like I like seeing life in HD. That's what I see these as. Because without them, you know what I mean. It's like I've had like 6 beers. You know what I mean. And it's like, oh wow, is that really there or whatever? And you put these on, and it's life in HD, bro. It's 1080p right here. You know what I mean? 8K.
Right. Don't eat eye drops when you're looking through liquid 4K. All right.
That's right. Oh man.
Looking at your glasses, it also makes me want to call out, and I have to call out our buddy Spencer with Road Dog Coffee, because he's supposed to be sending me one of those really cool hats you have on. So Spencer, I don't have it yet, buddy, but it looks really good on Rob right now.
Look, I got one I can give to you at semi-casual. Pedro and I were having this conversation. I have a large head, and Richardson's just don't fit. So I'm gonna
quit wearing this. I'm gonna quit wearing this damn hat because every time I do, people want the hat. I'll call him. Maybe he come here. Hold on, let me put him.
We'll see. But sorry to get us off track there.
Yeah, my bad.
Anyway, everybody tuning in. Paul the Pepper King is he's a very, very, very busy man. So we're still trying to get him in the studio here. He was here, but he had.
There he is. There he is. He's back. He's back.
You just want to bring him up stage?
Well, yeah, no, I think he just clicked out. Remember, he had the problem last time. I know he can hear us because he's smiling in the background. So,
okay.
Hey, but what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll get to some news here, and then we can go ahead and bring our guest on. So, Lounge Media News brought to you by AR Doc Pro, and as always sourced from truckandnewshub.com. All righty, we got some news about some criminal activity today. It's every day in the news and logistics industry. Someone's always doing something they ain't supposed to. But this one right here, I thought was pretty interesting. So, an Arizona man is facing charges related to a scheme to increase the base rates for 3PL carrier or a third-party carrier that was contracted with Amazon in exchange for almost $1.5 million. This Arizona man is facing charges related to the scheme for increasing the base rate wow, literally, they just repeated the same thing. Cannot believe I just did that. Moving on, officials say that this guy, who I am not even going to attempt to say his name, he was employed as a transportation area manager for Amazon from 2016 until 2021, when he resigned from his position with the company. According to court documents, Amazon operates a line haul program for the purpose of transporting freight between its DCs and to and from some of their vendors. The company uses a proprietary system they call wow. Dude, my dyslexia. Obviously, these glasses ain't working, right? Because I can't read. You know what I'm saying? The system's called the FMC to create, manage, and monitor trucking routes. The same officials say that the gentleman who resigned in 2021 did not return his company issued laptop. So between November 21, when he quit, and May of 22, he allegedly used that laptop to access the FMC and increase the base rate for deliveries assigned to a specific third-party carrier, Blue Line Transport. Once the guy processed the fraudulent increases within the system, Amazon received inflated invoices that were ultimately paid to the carrier. In return for this service that he gave this carrier, they paid him, like I said earlier, nearly $1.5 million. The guy, they say, knowingly and willfully devised and intended to devise a scheme and artifice to defraud for the purpose of obtaining money and property by means of false and fraudulent material pretenses and representations. There's some legal mumbo jumbo for you there, ladies and gentlemen. And also the concealment and omission of material facts is what the authorities said. So later in the article, it did say that he is going to take a plea bargain. So I don't know what he's going to end up getting with him facing a few different charges. I can't tell you what he could be facing without the plea bargain, but I'm easily going to say, probably 10 years or less. I don't know. 1.5 million is a lot. So who knows? They might try to make an example out of this guy if he didn't take that plea bargain.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. I mean, that is insanely bold company laptop, whatever, but going after Jeffy B, old Mr. Bezos, that's nuts. I know. And taking a hefty amount like that, that's crazy.
Bro, you know what? You know who's not getting love, though? Is the accounting team. Because let's be serious here, all right? How much money do you think moves in and out of Amazon every day? I'm not talking about what they make, because what someone makes and what may move through their company could be different. You know what I mean? So think of the hundreds of billions of dollars that flowed through this company, and they caught this $1.5 million discrepancy here. So, hey.
Hey, I appreciate that rare shout out to the accounting team.
I'm saying, I thought that the whole time I was reading that. I was like, dude, dang, to catch 1.5 million out of a multi-$100 billion a year company, damn, them folks doing their job.
I'm sure there's some stay-at-home moms out in California that have a monthly bill of $1.5 million from Amazon. So
that's probably true as well. I don't doubt that, man. So, but there you go. Nothing super exciting. Like I said, just some criminal activity, cool stuff, I guess. If you're a criminal. But Mr. G, what's up, dude? I'm going to text you, bro, and talk about getting on a show. I know you just started your deal with Road Nation, and you wanted us to give you a minute to get acclimated or settled in there. So I ain't forgot about you, man. I'm going to hit you up and get you on the show.
That's Trucker G. Trucker G. If you're going to be at Semi-Casual, me and Dirty Dre will be there as well, man. Would love to meet up with you. But didn't mean to hop in there and
No, you're good. No, you're good. Yeah, I mean, I think he very well may be there, especially with the.
I don't know. I've seen him at just about every truck show. Didn't have a face to the name, but now that
you can't miss him. You can't miss him, but his picture is misleading. I would just say that his picture is misleading. You look at him, you're like, man, this guy's 6'5", man. 250 pounds of muscle, and it's like. No, he's a little on the short stature, and
they hit that boy from Talladega Fiberglass, absolutely putting him to work, throwing some new wheel wells or wheel covers underneath the old iron bar there. So,
dude,
got a good laugh out of that.
G's a good guy, man. Alex Mai introduced me to him at Texas Trucking Show, and he's And he's everything people say he is, which is just polite. So that's all I can say. He's just a damn polite guy. So
Heck yeah,
anyway,
he will be at semi-casual. So
yep. Rig Nation, it's
let's
all
go.
good.
Oh.
What do you say? It's all good, brother. Yep. See you semi-casual. Good deal.
Heck yeah, man.
All right, y'all got anything you want to add before we bring Paul on the show here?
I love peppers.
I love peppers too, man. We're going to talk about some pepper facts as well. We'll get Paul to neither or confirm or deny whether the facts are accurate. All right, so Paul, the Red Pepper King, everybody. Yeah. I tried to find the biggest banger I could with the word hot in it, Paul, and that's what I got.
You picked the right word, hot. People calling me all day from all over the country for red peppers. I actually had to tell the trucking companies today that the value of these loads are approaching $100,000, and with the freight involved, they're over $100,000. So it's they are hot right now. They are hot.
Oh man, that's but peppers are always hot. No pun intended. No pun intended. Oh man, gee, you're a mess. Paul, man, it's great to have you back with us, man. It's been
nice to be back.
Yeah, dude, I think it's been about a year, and Hunter and I were going through like old flyers, and we came across yours, and I was like, man, it's like, dude, we haven't had Paul on in a while. Like, we got to get that crazy kook back on the show, man.
No problem. It's always fun.
Yeah,
always
man.
Fun.
It sure is, man. It sure is. So, Paul, for those that don't know you, our audience has grown quite a bit. We've expanded out to all the other social media platforms. So we know you're real heavy on LinkedIn, and folks that are on LinkedIn, they know who the heck the Pepper King is. Right. But for those who don't, give us the background, man. Tell us how you got started in this and where you are with it now.
Okay, well, I started over 50 years ago selling produce from a push cart in New York City. In fact, I do a tour every year at the Hunts Point Market during the New York Produce Show, and it brings back a lot of memories because I talk about these days. So back then, I said a push cart, but before that, there was we sold. Just imagine this: an 18-foot straight job and a 24-foot straight job, full hand stacked, top to bottom, front to back, full of produce every day on our stand in a 3 to 4 hour period. And that was located on 40th Street between 7th and 8th Avenue. It was right down the block from the Port Authority bus terminal. And, if anybody knows anything about, that's where all the people that live in New Jersey and work in New York take the bus home. So hundreds of thousands of people pass this parking garage. And back in the day, it was Met's parking garage. Today, that's the New York Times building. And our fruit stand was basically 4 parking spaces with set up on milk crates and 2 4x8 sheets of plywood. And we transformed it into a fruit store for a few hours every day and sold a lot of produce. And then from that, I did the push carts on Broadway and 7th Avenue. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning of my career. And then from that, I've literally done everything in this. I wholesaled on the back of a truck. I was a salesman. I took a little hiatus to the United States Army for a few years. I've been a salesman in the Hunts Point Market. I've been a shipper. I've lived in Costa Rica, Mexico, India. I've shipped produce from several different countries. I literally have done everything there is to do in produce, from peddling fruit to food service to wholesale to retail. I literally have done it all in produce. And I tell you the truth, at this stage of the game, it really puts a feather in my cap because, a lot of people like to say, oh, you can't do it like that. And I say, well, this is how you do it. If you've done everything, people have the, now everything gets loaded, everything gets loaded like machine jacks. Believe me, sometimes I didn't even have a hand truck. I had to carry a few hundred packages, on and off my truck because somebody stole my hand truck that day. In fact, I'm going to tell you a funny story. In New York City, where my push cart was in front of the 1407 building on Broadway. And back in the day, that was 1407, 1411 building were just garment industry companies. So I was in Women's Wear Daily maybe 30 or 40 times. That was the fashion magazine of New York City. So what would happen? I was built, and people say, "Oh, you work out?" No, I worked. I put 200 boxes of 90-pound crates of cantaloupe on my truck and 200 boxes off my truck during the season, and they had to be in the nose, per my father, because they can't bounce and don't drop them and don't do this. But I was, and anyway, the models used to come out, and I had pictures back then with models like feeding me great. They're in gowns, and I'm in like a guinea tea and and a little dirty, And so I want to tell you something. I have a lot of great stories in produce. Obviously, after doing it 50 years, but from that, uh, got out of the army, started a business. For those people that, this is not an overnight success. This is 50 years of knowing what it's like to make $1 million and then knowing what it's like afterwards to have $3 left to my name. And I did that more than once. And so my key takeaway there is you got to keep punching, never give up. But now about 30 years ago, we S. Katzman in New York started a brokerage company. Steve Katzman, just so people that don't know him, he's a great guy. Best man at one of my weddings. I've had more than one, 3 to be exact. But started this brokerage company, and I climbed the board, and the rest is history. Just I just gyrate. It wasn't always red peppers, and it's still not only red peppers. They're just that people know me as as for red peppers because I literally always have. I give you an example. Today, you talk to a few people in the produce industry, and they're telling you, they can't get 5 boxes, and I'm loading 2 straight loads in California. You know what I mean? I always, my saying is, you guys maybe know it. You get them when they're hot. You take them when they're not.
When they're not.
That's
My
it.
boss said that today when I told him you were coming on. He's like, "Man, I love Paul and I love his saying. You get them when they're hot, and you take them when
Just so
they're
you know,
not."
that's a registered trademark now, as is Red Pepper King. So yeah, but yeah, and I tell this to customers all the time. First of all, I used to put my best foot forward. So markets like this, a guy would come to me, could you please give me some red peppers? And I'll tell him, I tell him up front, listen, here's the deal. I'll give you red peppers, but I expect it to be reciprocated because these markets don't last forever, right? So, and I could tell you 99.9% of the time, they didn't reciprocate. So now when guys call me, like in this market, and they ask me, can I have red peppers? I said, absolutely. They're really? Yeah. Call me in 2 weeks. We'll get started. And once we get started, I guarantee you'll always have them. You may not have all you want, but you will always have them. And that's where the saying is, get them when they're hot, you take them when they're not. Because just like I have them now, I'm going to have them when they're $8 FOB and nobody wants them, and I still have to sell them.
The way Paul talks, we're going to give Paul a new name. He's going to be the Pepper Don. That's what he is, the Don of Peppers.
Listen, I live in Texas now, right? So that I get in the store. Hey, where you from? I said Texas. Can't you tell my accent? So they go, no. I go, oh, it's West Texas. It's different.
Oh my God, Paul, man, you're a freaking mess, dude. Oh man, I knew this was going to be another fantastic show with you, man. But hey, Paul, I want to take a step back, man. Something that we didn't talk too much about last time, and when I was cruising your LinkedIn trying to find a cool picture to put over on our flyer. I saw some photos of your dad, man, and I want to talk about him a little bit and bring this current with you. But how did your dad get into the produce thing? And
I'm going to say the best way I can. My father had, before produce and before finding God, 30, 35 years ago, probably longer, he found the produce business. He wanted to get out of the life that he was in. And his friend said, his friend was going to open up a store in New City, New York, right? So my father was, he's like, oh yeah, okay. So they opened the store in New City. The name of the store was The Farmer and the Deli, The Farmer and the Deli, yeah. And it was a good store, and they had that store, and then they sold it, and they told him, hey, you can make a lot of money peddling fruit. I want to give people a little history here before I continue the story. The people I learned from, and I guess really my father learned from, that they were my father's age, but they were in the produce business all their lives. So my father's 91 right now, okay? So you got to figure 50 years ago, he's 40. Now he's with guys 40 to 50 years old, but they've been, and that's what, in the 70s, right? So they've been doing it from the 40s and 50s, okay? I just want to give you like a time frame. These guys were making hundreds and thousands of dollars a week when the average pay was $37. The problem was most of them were degenerate gamblers. Like they would just go to the track, blow all their money, and that was their life. Except one guy. His name was Izzy Weinstein. I will never forget Izzy. Izzy peddled on 29th Street in New York City. He had like one tooth, you know what I mean? He wouldn't let the customers would stand in line to buy his produce. I'm telling you, he was like the produce Nazi. There was a soup Nazi. He was the produce Nazi. Okay?
No soup for you.
Yeah. So I even got a story about the soup guy. But anyway, Izzy Weinstein married a professor, a college professor. So he wasn't a degenerate gambler. So Izzy Weinstein, I happen to know in the 70s when $100,000 was a lot of money, he lent $100,000 to one of the bosses in the Hunts Point market. And Izzy Weinstein and his wife collected Stradivarius violins. I don't know if you know what Stradivarius violins are,
Yeah.
but they were expensive then. They're priceless today. Okay? That was the difference between the gambler and the non-gambler and the money that was made in the produce, in produce. I can tell you when I was a peddler, when I was talking on Fridays and Saturday nights, I was a bartender because my father didn't pay me shit. I worked 20 hours a day. I was paying me $200 a week, So on Friday and Saturday night, I was a bartender, and I used to go home. On the Long Island Railroad with with all the money from the stand. You know what I mean? I went home with a shopping bag full of money. Dollars, $10, $5. You know what I mean? But dollar bills, $5 bills. But there was a lot of big money to be made in produce back then, and they made it. Except they blew it. Now listen, I saw how you got with the soup guy. So you guys watched. I wasn't a big fan of The Sopranos, but you guys were Soprano fans.
Oh yeah, I love
Okay.
that show.
You know the fat guy that was gay in the movie?
Yes.
In the show? Okay,
Yeah.
he's a personal friend of mine. All right. I grew up with him I in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. That's where we're from, right? So, but his name is Joe. I don't know what his name is on the show, but I know his name is Joe G something. He had two soup places. He was a chef, and he used to do the menus for all the Italian restaurants in Bay Ridge on 3rd Avenue. The guy was a great cook, and every day I ate in his restaurant almost every day because he had a different soup every day. But he wasn't a soup Nazi. He was nice about it.
Well, I gotta ask, man, being in the movie business, were you ever hired on to be the produce stand that stops a high-speed chase? Cars hitting the stand, fruit exploding everywhere.
I would love that. I would freaking love that.
All right, that's another
That's
task
right up
for
my alley.
Pedro.
I'm just waiting. Listen, I'm just waiting to be a hero. You know what I mean? I'm just waiting for the opportunity. I'm waiting for the opportunity. That guy climbed up a 15-story building and saved 3 kids. That's me. I'm waiting for the opportunity.
Man. Damn, Paul.
Somebody tried robbing an old lady, and he threw peppers at her.
Peppers.
That's it. I got to tell you, I told you I got a lot of stories. On our fruit stand, I'll never forget. Remember, this is the late 70s, early 80s. And if you go back, like before Giuliani was mayor of New York, it was like 42nd. Remember, I'm on 40th Street. 42nd Street is only 2 blocks away. And Disney was not on 42nd Street, in the 70s, okay? It was just, peep shows and, prostitutes and everything. So you get a lot of run over that. I had to deal with a lot of that, while we're selling fruit. Anyway, one day a guy picks up an apple and bites it and runs away. You know what I mean? And I come out of the back. I come from around. I go onto the sidewalk and I get another apple and I throw it and I hit him in the back of the head and his freaking pants fell down. As I mean, you couldn't make that shit up. Then I felt bad that you know what I mean. Oh, that poor guy. Like I felt bad that I did that, but it was funny.
Oh God.
Damn vigilante produce guy over here. You know what I mean? Oh, so all right, hey Paul. Now let's talk about why. I mean, why'd you stick with the produce industry? I mean, obviously you grew up in it, and people would think, oh, that's what you want to do. But I mean, let's be honest. A lot of folks that don't want to have shit to do with what their parents did. And you said you went in the Army and you came back to it. So why'd you came back to it? And why have you stuck with it?
I'll tell you like the good and the bad. Like, I left. I when I came back from the Army, I knew I was going back in produce. In fact, there was no doubt for me. Either I was going to stay in the Army 30 years, or I was going to go back in produce. Those were my options. If I didn't start losing my hearing, I probably would have, I would have probably had a totally different life. I would have probably stayed in the Army, but when I came back, I had a like tunnel vision. I went. I think, and maybe in the first year, I had maybe 2 or 3 jobs, just jump, like to accelerate the pace, and then from that, I don't know. Did I talk about my making $125,000 in one day last time on the show? Did I tell you that story?
I'm not sure, but not everyone's heard it, so let's hear it again.
Okay, so I became a buyer for a retail chain, and I had a lot of power with that, with that job, and they were gonna do business with a guy that that was a thief, and I actually left a job and a company that I was like a partner in profits, because they were going to do business with this guy, and I didn't want to be involved with him again. So I left the job, and I left the job when I was making thousands of dollars a week, and now I'm kind of like just like spinning wheels, right? And I actually borrowed. It was I'll never forget it. In November, I actually borrowed $5,000 from my old boss, right? Just trying to keep my head above water. I was married. My daughter was young, so Christmas night, 1989. There's a freeze in Florida, a hard freeze in Florida. And Christmas night in the Hunts Point Market in 1989, all the Jewish firms were open, but all the Italian firms were closed. That's all there was back in the, in the 80s. It was Jewish and Italian firms. That was it. So all the Jewish firms are open. I get dressed and I go to the market, and I start buying. Now I just told you I borrowed $5,000, but I had credit, So I went to I bought peppers, I bought parsley, I bought I bought a lot of different stuff. And my uncle had a place in the market, and I bought all the stuff, and I put it on trailers, and about a day and a half later, now I believe me, I paid $4 for peppers, I paid $5 for tomatoes, $6 for parsley, and I had, a few trailers and stuff put away. Well, I kept it. So that was the night of the 25th, the 26th, the night of the 26th in the morning, the night of the 26th. So, another night later, took that stuff out of the trailer, and peppers were $50, tomatoes were $50, parsley was $50, everything was $50 because there was none. Now, I just told you I had bowls with no money. Now I just made 125,000. Now I'm buying straight loads of tomatoes for $50, turn around selling them for $75. Buy this, I sold every tomato repacker up and down the East Coast. Most of the time, it was for cash or not cash, but paid instantly. Not that there was no credit, there was nothing. It was just you want them, I got them, you bought them. So I think so that was December. I think by March I had several $100,000 in my checking account. I pay. By the way, I did pay that $5,000 back to my ex-boss. But yeah, so that was the start of it. That was a company called Family Produce, and not too long after that, maybe a year or two after that, I was living in Mexico, and the people that were running this business in New York, basically put that company out of business, put me out of business. So I literally had to leave the produce business because you know what happens in the produce business. You owe money and you can't pay it back. And I could have paid it back if they let me work, but they didn't let me work. I came back from Mexico and they said, yeah, I made a deal. I'll pay X amount of dollars a week towards this, what I owe. And they said, oh, okay, well that's great, that's great. But then everybody cut me off, and I couldn't pay it if I didn't have the stuff. So that was the bad chapter in the Red Pepper King's life. I tell everything. I tell the truth. I always say Paul Manfre doesn't stab you in the back; he stabs you in the chest. So,
dang it, boy, man, I love you, Paul, dude. That is the thing I like most about you, man. Is you are authentically you, and you don't hold back, man.
No.
I freaking love that, man.
You know what? Everybody, you go to Facebook. Everybody has a beautiful life. I could tell you, I really do have a beautiful life. It always hasn't been beautiful, right? But I could tell you now, my wife is awesome. I'm 68 years old. My father, who's 91, is living with me. You know what I mean? Like, my boys are great. My kids are great. My grandchildren are great. So really, life is great.
So Paul, let me ask you a question. Obviously, me being tied in with drayage and containers and imports and exports, and we've moved some imports of of vegetables and fruits. Would you get into that market a lot?
I kind of like stick to North America, and then as far south as maybe Colombia. Okay. I really don't. I get offers for stuff all the time. That's from Egypt, Africa. I kind of stay in my lane. I tell people all the time, like, there's people that spread themselves out. I do 12 to 15 items. I just don't think anybody does them better than me. You know what I mean? Like, I do 12 to 15, all the peppers, all the color peppers, cucumbers, eggplants, all the squashes, soft summer squash, hard squashes, Roma tomatoes, vine ripes, and that's it. And I just think I just do them better than anybody else. And once you start, here and there and here, you kind of like lose focus for me. You know what I mean? Maybe there's people smarter than me that could do 100 different items. I don't try to be, I just try to concentrate on what I know.
But you stay local with local farmers, stuff like that, instead of instead of bringing
not
in from
local.
overseas.
I just stay within North America and then into Central America. That's my wheelhouse.
Okay.
So, question off of that. So, you mentioned that you lived in Costa Rica and India, and what part of Costa Rica, by the way?
I lived in San Jose because I was growing strawberries in the mountains right outside of San Jose.
Awesome. Yeah, my dad lives down in Guanacaste, Cocoa Beach area, Tamarindo, all that good stuff. But I asked that, so like you're growing down there, and that reminds me of our friend Spencer, who Road Dog Coffee Company, he's done some time down in Costa Rica for his coffee beans and stuff. So were your travels a part, like, did you travel to learn more about where this stuff's being grown at, or what was the process behind that?
My next project is probably, we have a home in Colombia. I met my wife in Colombia looking for mangoes and avocados, and
you found the mangoes. You found them. Just wasn't the ones you was looking for. Just
I got to tell you, that was business-wise, that was a terrible deal. But personally, that was the best deal of my life. Yeah.
Went to business, stayed for the scenery.
Yeah, but when people ask me, I tell them, everybody knows the women of Colombia are beautiful. So the first thing I say, hey, could you, take me to Colombia? The first thing I ask, you married? They say yes. I say no, you can't go. You know what I mean? You can't go. Your wife is not going to be the guy that hates me. It's.
Well, hey, all right, Paul. We got you off track. You were talking about your next project, and then y'all had the home of Colombia. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off. But so what's the next project you got going on? And,
I'm gonna try to grow red peppers in Colombia.
What's so different about that, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh no, just to fill in the gaps and what makes it, getting back to the dryage part. Ocean freight is a lot cheaper than road freight. So if I go from Colombia to Miami, the container rate is a lot less for that than the truck rate would be. Let's say it's like the competition would be from Nogales, Arizona to Florida. So I could do Colombian peppers and send them to Philadelphia, to New York for less in freight than I can from, let's say, again, from Arizona. Just a total freight play. That's how I moved to Texas. I was all over that time when we hit $13,000 freight rates, west to east. That was the reason I moved to Texas. I was here 8 years ago and said this was going to be the next biggest thing for the last 20 years. When I came here 8 years ago, I said, oh shit, it's about to pop. And I nailed it. When guys were paying, $10, $11, $12,000 for Nogales trucks, I was loading the same stuff out of here for $7 and $8. It's $3,000 difference for the same stuff. And besides, I made all the connections. Everybody else was, after the fact. I already had everybody hooked up.
That's crazy. So to kind of expand on Hunter's question there, did all your travels, man, and where you've lived and worked and stuff across the world within the industry, like, do you think that has been a big part of why you're good at it? And do you think it's helped you grow in this industry and be better and be someone that people go to for advice and guidance?
I think the biggest reason is, as you probably can tell, I'm gonna get bleeped now. I fucking love this business.
I love it. Love that.
Okay, and I think that shows. So listen. Now again, go back 50 years. Most of the people. First of all, I think produce people are smart people, but a lot of them, like, I don't have a college degree. I got accepted to medical school. I told you I lived in India. You know what I mean? I don't have a college degree, and a lot of my friends don't have college degrees. But when it comes to street smarts, they'll run a Harvard PhD around the block 5 times before he knows what hit him, right? But what I did is I combined my street smarts with education. So I always read about produce, try to learn about produce. Where contrary to what I just said, I like to stick in my lane. That's one time I was out of my lane. I would just try to learn about everything I can about produce, but and think about it. People were thinking about it locally or weekly. I was thinking about it more globally and further out. Like if most people like my market predictions more than anything. Like when I do my talk, I kind of tell them, what's going on in the markets, right? And I've been successfully calling markets 2 and 3 and as far as 6 months out for most of my career. To me, it was like a train coming down the track. How could you not see it? like, but that's how easy it was for me. So the traveling today, I travel a lot now. And it's mostly to just keep the connections I have alive and make new connections, because they always, people tell you it's not who you know, it's what you know. I could tell you firsthand experience, who you know is good, but what you know is better. If you're just like in the trucking business, what I mean? I run circles. A guy calls me, he wants to be my truck broker, and he's got 1 year experience. Buddy, I am not the right guy for you. You know what I mean? Like, you are not. We are not in the same league. You go to the low boards, add $800 to the rate, and give me the rate, and I'm gonna tell you I'm paying 1,000 less. So you know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing in produce. You know, how do you see somebody produce, right? Like, somebody, like I use this example a lot. In produce, you say, first you got to learn the product, but let's start at the beginning. How many peppers are on a skid, right? 70, 80, 90, 77, 56, 64, 72, 90, 100, 110. I just gave you, and I don't even know if I got them all, but that was
In case
11-pound
counting,
boxes, 15, yeah, 11-pound boxes, 15-pound boxes, big boxes, and the different shippers do different, box sizes and skid sizes. So you're learning produce, and just one item, you just had to learn 10 different box sizes, and we didn't even start to talk about what's in the box. You know what I mean? We just did one item and the boxes and how many per skid. And that's, there's a lot of learning to get you to the point. And it's funny, like, go on and go look at retail produce buyer, 6 months experience. 6 months experience. You don't even know how to wipe your ass in 6 months. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my God.
Paul said, "Boy, you still on the teat."
That's classic, dude. I think that's a perfect segue into this, though. So, like, what you're talking about. So, I work in the wine business. So, we transport wine. So, you got your different cases, then you got casks that you're shipping, and yada yada yada. It's not just LTL refrigerated. Go pick it up and deliver it. No. So, I know you as the pronounced Pepper King on LinkedIn and all over the world. What are you telling these newer brokers, like you're saying, these people that say, "Oh, I'm a produce expert with 6 months of experience in it"?
I'll tell them. I'll tell them the same thing I just told you about the boxes, and I don't call myself an expert. Other people call me an expert. So it's easy to call yourself an expert, but you get that reputation from other people. That's when it counts, right? You know what I mean? Like, me calling myself the red go. Somebody at Katzman Googled last week, and he sent it to me. Something like, I don't know what the question was, like, is there a red pepper king? And Google AI came. Paul Manfre is considered by the industry as the red pepper king. You know what I mean? So I told him, well, fuck it. If Google said it, it's got to be true. You know what I mean? But I don't call myself expert. I know a lot about produce, and I believe I can help a lot of people in produce. And I tell you the truth, that's why I started. And before LinkedIn, just so you know, before LinkedIn, this commentary started on a fax machine. When fax machine was on the roller paper, on that thermal paper, it used to go to, let's say, 15 people on my fax machine. And then those 15 people would send it to 15 people, right? And then email came, and then it would be like 200 people. Then people would be calling me from all over the country. Hey, how do I get on that list? How do I get on that list? You know what I mean? And then from that we came with, LinkedIn became a thing with business. I'm not on TikTok or any, I do it on Instagram only because LinkedIn doesn't let me talk as long as I like. You know what I mean? LinkedIn, I only could write 1,500 words, or I only could talk for like 7 minutes. You know what I mean? I got a lot to say past 7 minutes. So it wasn't, but it's funny because people in the industry tell me I'm the number one influencer in produce, right? And I tell them, I break my kids' balls. I was like, my sons, I said, you guys want to be influencers. Look at this. Your father didn't even, I didn't want to be an influencer, and I'm an influencer. You know what I mean? So
I'm kind of disappointed to hear that you're not doing pepper dances on the TikTok, man. You know, huge.
yeah, it's yeah, but and you know, like, so 6 months, I don't think in any industry is, people don't realize how complex our business is, whether in the trucking business, produce business. You know, they don't understand the supply and demand market, how real, you know, how that reality affects us so much. They just, you know, their always thing is, oh, you must make a lot of money because everybody's got to eat. You know what I mean? To be honest, the produce business doesn't really do well in bad economies for the same reason. People got to eat, but the box of Ronzoni macaroni is a lot less than a head of broccoli. You know what I mean? And that makes a factor. It's a matter of, you know, you're feeding your family for a $20 bill as opposed to a $200 bill. So we don't do good. Produce does not do good. And if you say, I just spoke about this last week. You notice the truck rates have been pretty much flat for like 2 years now, right?
Yeah, ridiculous.
And, yeah. And here's my thought on this. Big retail, Kroger's, you know, all the big retailers, since COVID, found out they'd rather sell less produce for more margin. So there's not as many packages coming. And when you take the biggest conduit of retail, them, and you cut back the packages, I really feel that has an effect on your business. It has an effect on my business, because I've seen over the last 2 years, when we have regular volume where we should, let's say, without getting too far into the weeds, let's say we have like 300,000 peppers crossing the border, or in the USDA report, that used to mean, again, I'm just using an example. That used to be a $12 FOB market, right? The last couple of years, with that same amount of volume, the FOB market was like 8 or 6. And that's across a variety of items. So when there's less stuff and there's less packages going on your trucks, the couple of things that could happen.
He got a call.
That was corporate America shutting them down.
I know, bro.
I was about to just ask about
corporate America. Yeah, because I mean, I was about to chime in too, because 25 years in corporate America. I mean, that was a huge thing. It was selling less. They would rather take a price increase every single year. Because think about it, right? They're not stocking the shelves as much at the stores. They're saving on labor. So if they can make more money off selling less, I mean, that's been a thing over the last several years with corporate America. But he starts mentioning that, and Big Brother cut him off.
Dude, that freaking Paul is the GOAT, man, in produce. I forgot how good our last show was with him. Like, hearing him talk, like, I keep remembering the things that he was saying, dude. Like, wait until I get his ass going on his advice to brokers and carriers, bro. That's how Hunter and I got him going last time, bro. He was like, don't you fucking tell me that the truck is 2.5 hours away and it's in freaking Florida. Dude, Paul he went off talking about this broker that told him the truck was like 3 hours away and it was in like Ohio, and Paul's like, I lost my shit on that guy.
I remember that. I remember that day too. Oh, where was I? So here's a couple of scenarios that I think I could play out. Number one, growers grow less stuff, pretty much like car manufacturers did during COVID, right? They got rid of all the cheap cars and just made expensive cars, right? They grow less stuff, and then you're going to make price go up. Just remember this: price is the number one mover of produce. Price is the number one mover of produce. Retail is the only one. Like, if I'm long, what do? I drop the price. If the wholesaler's long, what do? We drop the price. If food service is long, what do? They drop the price. Retail is long, they don't change the price. You know what I mean? Like, they could pay $3 FOB for stuff, and they'll still put stuff $2.49 a pound, bring back 400%. That's a guarantee. That's how they work. So the other side of the coin, Yes, man. Baby, you want to go on? You want me to let me show everybody how beautiful
She has to now.
She has to now.
I told
Yeah.
them you're Colombian. They want to see you, baby.
Yeah.
You're going to your office, baby? Okay.
Yeah, I want to pick something.
Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss, baby. Look at those people.
Hi, man. Dude, your wife is so lovely, man. I see all the pictures y'all take, dude, and you're a lucky man.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome. So anyway, that's on the fruit side. On your side, you saw Carol Fulmer went out of business. What is that? 400
Crazy,
right?
man. Did you read why though, Paul? Did you read what they said was the reason they went out of business? Because it's not what everyone was thinking it was.
It wasn't the rates.
Fucking lawsuits, man. That's what
really?
it was. There was insider information came out and they said we're getting sued so much that like our attorney's fees, like that's why they decided to close the doors, because every time they turn around, they're getting sued by some idiot that is in an accident with their truck, even if it's not their fault. And they just said, man, we can't deal with it. I'm sure rates were a part of it, but from what they say, a big deciding part of it was the lawsuits that they're getting.
Wow. Yeah. But if the rates stay low and it's, it becomes like spin the wheels rates where guys can't make a living. You've seen this happen before. You know what I mean? They'll go work for a trucking because they'll get rid of their trucks. There'll be less trucks. Then rates will go, but I don't know. If I had a call, in fact, I did say that I would think rates would be up by now because I thought that cycle, I've seen this cycle come and go so many times. I thought it would be here already, during the California deal. It really hasn't. I'm still paying relatively, cheap for trucks. Relatively cheap. I'm not, they're not cheap, but they're not 10,000. Like, I basically, west to east, to New York is from 7,000 to 7,500. That's not an exorbitant rate. You know what I mean? It's pretty legit.
During COVID, man, Nogales to the Northeast was like 10, 12 grand, man.
Oh, yeah. I know.
It was nuts, man.
I know.
Nuts.
Yeah. No, I didn't think it was going to be that high, but I thought they'd, I thought they'd be 8,000, 9,000, California trucks. You know what I mean? That's what I thought. But yeah, so unless and then lastly, part of this equation is the economy. Until people really have money, again, what I said before, when it comes to food, produce gets cut out first because it's an expensive item. So, people will pick up the box of macaroni, they'll eat rice or rice and beans instead of, fresh produce because they got to feed their family. So it becomes like calories per dollar, or the cheapest calories win, which health-wise are not always the best, but you know what I mean? When your kids are hungry. Listen, when I was young, I know what it's like. When I was young, I can remember thinking, wow, what a treat. We're having pancakes for dinner. When I got older, I realized why we were having pancakes for dinner, so.
But, Paul, to touch on that, not like get crazy on it, but how messed up is that's the way things are now is the guys like you and your dad and the others back in the day, like produce, that was cheaper than getting the stuff at the market. That was cheaper than the fucking box of macaroni. You know what I mean? Like it was easier to go buy the fresh produce or go to the local butcher and get all your meats from there. And now it's completely been turned on its head. You were talking about the retail. It's like I said, people would rather have the unhealthy cheap stuff because like I said, I love what you just said it's like $1 per calorie thing, and it's sad that's how we're gotten the healthy food is now more expensive than the trash food. Like how did we get to that shift in our American?
See, I want to double down on that, Pedro, because one thing I have seen, and I'm sure you've definitely seen it, Paul, is like in produce, there's like a company, I forget what it's called. It's like uglyproduce.com or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's stuff that's like discolored or the shape isn't what people expect to see. So they just toss that to the wayside. So instead of having a full harvest, where just because it's a little lumpy, a little looking different than all the other produce, you're going to toss that out. So you're left with less product. Is that something that you see playing into it?
Here's the problem when I first of all, the first question is when I was young and in this business, there was 100 fruit peddlers like me. There were 100, even in Brooklyn, you could go on one block, there was 10 fruit stores, you know. Now it's all centralized in a few hands, and with few hands means less competition. And they all, unfortunately, I don't know who did all the training for these guys that run. Well, first of all, the people that run produce are not produce people. You know what I mean? Like the people that the CEO of Kroger, you know what I mean? The CEO of, they're not produce people. Chances are they came from grocery or, MBA from UPenn or something like that. They don't know produce, right? So that's, that's a real problem, because there are people in these supermarket chains that do know produce, but they're handcuffed by the people that don't know produce. They just, here's the thing. They will always say, first of all, they want to have one price. They don't like the variations in price and produce, which is what makes produce produce. When it's abundant, you're supposed to be cheap. You know what I mean? When it's abundant, they want to stay the same price and they just make extra money. When it's short, they want to be the same price, which is less than the market price. You know what I mean? Like, they're so flawed in their thinking. They want to sell produce like widgets. And produce, you can't turn on the machine when you want more. You can't turn off the machine when you want less. You just gotta go with the flow. What comes to you, you gotta anticipate and sell and move. And they just don't get, they just want to treat it, like, buying a washing machine. It's not a washing machine.
Man,
Tell me I grew up thinking that fruit was washing machines this entire time, and I'm wrong.
Yeah. And you know what's amazing? You said about how it was cheaper. Up until recently, compared to the rest, you got to excuse me for 1 second.
Take time,
right?
Paul.
I
Take
have
time.
some workers here that need me.
Sorry, man. Man, it's crazy hearing him talk about some of this stuff. My family, I guess my grandmother's generation, like them and before, all farmers. In the Panhandle of Florida, I don't know what we have left, but we used to have thousands of acres in the Panhandle of Florida, and every one of my family did something different. One of my uncles, he mainly did cattle and corn. I had another uncle that he focused on watermelons. Like, everyone did something different, and everyone helped with everyone's grows and do all these things. And then, like, it slowly started dying off because there just wasn't the money in it that there used to be. They were smaller farmers selling mainly in the local market in Southeast Florida or in the Southeast states, and they just got stranglehold, man. Like, all the imports coming in, and like he was talking about, retailers wanting to be cheaper, and a lot of produce markets going by the wayside. And come my generation, like, none of my generation in my family are farmers or ranchers anymore. So, like, all of that stuff just died off because the money just got sucked out of it, and it was just too expensive to keep up with everything. And
what about population though, too, man? Because it ain't like back in the day. I don't know nothing about population, but I mean, we got a lot more people here nowadays than we did back, even in like the 60s, 70s, or like my great grandparents, man. We had cattle and, apple trees and, like, grew produce and freaking, sold cattle just to survive. And I don't know. There's a lot of different variations, I feel, but also, like, if we're going to talk about Big Brother corporate, all the stuff that goes into these foods now that we eat.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah,
and
the additive.
Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead, Steve.
No, I was gonna say, all the additives, all the crap that makes it cheap. We've got. I mean, and people. What I love about too is, like, people are starting to get back to, even people that live in the cities, right? They're getting back to coming up with some kind of garden, even if it's hanging off some kind of flower pot off their windows or whatever, and they're growing. I mean, obviously they're not growing corn stalks, but they're growing maybe some cucumbers or some tomatoes. So it's like, people that are getting back into that is, we got a little garden in our backyard.
Oh, there's your dad. Hi, Mr. Manfre.
This is the guy that got me into produce.
Come on now.
The GOAT, the greatest of all time.
No, Dad, you don't know any of these people.
Oh, no?
No.
It's
These
nice
are
to meet
people-
you, though.
We're talking
Thank you
about
for what you've
produce.
done.
They have a show. So I wanted to show them that my father, all right?
Dude,
That's it.
you look just like your dad, Paul. Like,
Yeah, I
no
know.
DNA test needed.
All right, that's my
Man,
dad.
that's amazing,
That's
dude.
awesome.
And you know what? Before you back into produce, kudos on you, man. You know, my wife and I talked about this not too long ago, how, you know, the older generations, like, it was natural for, as your parents got older, your parents moved in with you. That's why a lot of older houses had mother-in-law suites. There's an exact reason for it. And, you know, a lot of
There was
folks
no
now,
assisted living in the
Yeah.
50s.
yeah, you know, and so kudos to you, man. Like bringing your dad and having him hang out with you, man. Like, that's so awesome.
That's awesome that you're still here to kick it, man. Tell the story too.
So what you said about produce, in the industrialized world, and this is pre-COVID, I'm talking about the numbers. I think we spent like 8 to 10% of our expendable income on food, whereas countries in Europe were 28 to 35%. So I just want to keep that.
Dang.
Yeah, I just want you to keep that in perspective. Like we got away with murder like for a long time, and I feel like large retail is trying to bridge that gap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For their betterment, not for. But yeah,
But hey,
something.
while you're talking about that, and before I get on to like the last kind of main topic I want to talk about is, you know, what I mean, you've been all over the globe, and you obviously talk to people from all over the planet within the produce industry. You know, what is it like over there on the other side of the planet? You know, do they get all the same things that we get and grow all the same things we grow, and face all the same troubles?
The big companies, like you could go to Australia and find Driscoll strawberries. You know what I mean? Like that's a multinational company. But a lot of stuff is if you're in Europe, we get like peppers from Spain, Holland, Israel. So if you're in Europe, you're going to get those peppers. We're fortunate that we also get them here, right? They will have our apples, orange, or citrus. Well, not all citrus, because citrus you got from Brazil. But there are a lot of things from our country that get exported. It's a big part of our economy. And there are a lot of stuff, depending on where you are in the world, like Turkey. Turkey's a big agricultural country. Ukraine, that's why Russia wants it. Ukraine is a big agricultural country. So there's a lot of, I guess, for lack of a better word, local stuff, depending on where you are in the world. Obviously, I don't know about like what they grow in Australia, but I think that's 24 hours by plane, like to fly. So they have to have their own local economy, local agriculture.
Do you think that do you think North America, like our North America, South America, do you think we produce the best produce in the world?
That's hard for me to say, because I hear about, like, when people are in Europe, they one of the things they rave about is the produce, So I don't like to make false claims. I really don't.
I just wonder, dirt's different everywhere. The dirt where I'm at, it's different. It's different 50 feet from my house. You know what I mean? So, and
I can tell you one thing, like organic in the United States wouldn't even be organic in Europe.
It's a fucking scam, Paul. Don't get me started. Don't get me started, Paul.
Well, you don't have to tell me. I know all the chemicals they could use. Believe me. That's a scam. That's a
man.
scam.
I love that. That's why I like you, Paul. You're real with it, man. You're so real with it. That's the greatest part about you, man. You don't.
Well, man, if we stabbed you in the chest, not in the back.
I'm so gonna start using that. I'm seriously gonna start. I'm like, in the words of my good friend Paul, stab you in the chest, not in the back.
After this one, you got to call me, you got to call me on the phone because I got to tell you something that I don't want to say. I got guys in California. They said they have a book and they call them Paulieisms. They all the stuff that I say, and one of them is the top. Is like I could tell this to a guy 20 times and he'll laugh 20 times. You know what I mean? So it's a good one, but I can't say it on your show because
funny,
I'm going to piss somebody off, and I don't want to do that.
Oh man, come on, bro. We've been trying to get canceled for 2 years, Paul, and it
I'll
hasn't
cancel
happened.
you. Oh,
yeah,
no, I'll get you
No,
canceled.
I know you canceled your damn self.
Yeah.
I was going to come back to that. When you said you were doing your report, I was like, holy shit, you're doing your report again? Because when we last had you on, you got canceled, Paul.
I got canceled because of what's the name of that? The Credible Vegetable Report.
Yes,
Right.
yes, that was it.
That was the president of Sunfed. Sunfed is owned by Grub Market, and Grub Market, because I've been very critical of them, sent me a cease and desist order. So they pressured Sunfed, the president of Sunfed, to cancel me.
You know that's how you're doing the right things when someone tries to get you to shut up.
Oh,
You know
I want to
what
say,
mean? Yeah.
I'm not completely shut up. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
So you can put them both on and run.
Oh no, I'm just waiting. Don't worry, it's getting close.
Oh yeah. Well, and Paul, since we know your time's limited, man, we know how busy you are. There is one thing that I really want to talk about, which was to me one of my favorite parts about speaking with you last time, and that is getting your perspective as a shipper, man. A lot of these brokers, you kind of touched on it, man. A lot of these brokers, carriers, they try to get into markets that they think there's money in. They don't understand them. They make mistakes, like so forth and so on. So I would like for you to speak about your side of it, and the things that you deal with and the things you like to see or hear from brokers or shippers, and the things that you don't like to see and hear from them.
Okay,
Not take Paul. Do what you got to do. If you got to step away from me, do what you got to do, man.
I got to. Oh.
Paul is building his nuclear fallout shelter underneath his house. So he has to keep going down and making sure that they're putting the pew pew cabinets in the right place. I'm gonna get him to let me come hang out with him. He's like 5.5 hours from me. I'm gonna come hang out at Paul's house for the weekend, man.
Yeah, come on over.
You're 5 hours from me, Paul. I'm serious, dude. I just live right near Austin.
Oh, you know what? I still haven't been to Austin. I've been here 7 years.
You ain't missing nothing.
No?
I mean, it's a beautiful place. I'm lying. It's great. It's really great. It just went downhill with a lot of the homeless and drug populations kind of ruined the downtown area. But it's a wonderful place. It is wonderful. I do
tell
love
them to change their politics. We'll get it cleaned up in a week.
There you go. San Antonio is my favorite. San Antonio and Houston are my favorite places in Texas. Love them.
So, all right. So what about? You guys know Gary York and Dante Galeazzi?
Nope.
Okay. Gary York is probably big with C.H. Robinson now. Dante Galeazzi is the head of TIPA here in Texas, president of TIPA. They were my truck brokers 30 years ago. So I tell them all the time, I am the reason you became successful. Once you dealt with me, you could deal with anyone. So Gary York, who ran that office, used to bring all his new brokers to me, maybe once a month. And I used to tell him this: be honest, don't bullshit, because the guys that bullshit maybe, get loads faster than you, but they'll burn out. You don't bullshit. You tell the truth. Even if you know you're going to get yelled at, you just take it. You get yelled at. You fix problems. You don't run away from them. Be fair. Don't gouge. And this is what I told them all the time. I tell people all the time. You said the Ohio story before. I tell all my truck brokers, first of all, I have 2 trucking companies I deal with and 5 truck brokers. That's it. I went through the phase when I had 30 people on my list, you know what I mean? But I realized my 5 loads in a day turned into 150 loads on the load boards, right? 30 loads, 30 people. They all put my 5 loads for the day on the load boards. What does that mean? I got 150. And then they'll tell me, oh, there's 150 loads and there's only 5 trucks. Yeah, those 150 loads are mine. You know what I mean? Like, so I only deal, it's very, very hard for a broker to get on my list. You know what I mean? Like, it's only until I get rid of one that I will add one for that reason. And I get covered 100% of the time with the people I have. But they know the same thing. I will fix the problem. Don't tell me, you know, today the truckers in Ohio, you know what I mean? When he was supposed to be making delivery in the Bronx. You know, tell me yesterday, Paulie, this guy looked like he's going to be late. Again, I could fix any problem if you give me the good information. And I think most people are like that. Anybody that's worth anything, I think, on the produce side can fix a problem. You know, listen, I get it all the time. I have guys that take straight loads of red peppers from me every week. You know, now they're not, you know, some guys are not getting straight loads. They're getting half a load. They're getting 12 skids. And they'll tell me, yeah, I take a load every week. Yeah, I'm only getting 12 skids. Why? And I'll just tell them, Charlie, do I have to fucking tell you why you're only getting 12 skids? Do I really have to explain it to you? Freaking peppers are $50. You don't understand why? Yeah, Paulie, I understand. Okay. You know what I mean? Sometimes they just got to be, but most people just want to hear themselves talk. They know, listen, if they do business with a truck broker, chances are they had a truck that broke down before, right? They know shit happens. You know what I mean? You just got to be the guy that deals with it directly, coolly. Take his shit for a while or my shit. You know what I mean? Because you know, I had a guy that gave me a great advice. A guy in Boston, one of my customers, and I used to go. I used to be an animal. When you told me my truck was late, or you know what I mean, I was an animal. And he used to tell me, Paulie, this ain't medicine. The stuff will get here. You know what I mean? It's not medicine. So that would be my thing. The most thing, be honest, be fair. And for anybody that wants new business, I get, I've told this, I made the mistake once of posting on LinkedIn that I was adding to my truck brokers list.
I
What a mistake.
remember that post. I
Oh my
remember
God.
that post.
Oh my God.
I remember that.
Holy shit.
It was a lane from like Nogales too, wasn't it? You
I
had
looked
even
up
posted a
thousands.
mock lane.
Thousands.
I
Thousands.
might know.
They were still coming 3 months later. I couldn't. One guy's mother wrote me, give my son the lane. I mean,
Oh my gosh. Oh man. I specifically remember that post because when I saw that, I was like, this guy has no idea what's about to happen to his
oh
DMs.
my God.
Like
That was one of the most stupid things I've ever done. Really. And I said it, I think in another post, that'll never happen again. Don't believe me. That will never, ever happen again.
oh man, that's funny that you talk about that because I do. I remember that thing. That was a
Holy
good
shit.
one, man.
Yeah, that was a big mistake.
Yeah, dude. I see those. I see those on LinkedIn every now and then, and I as soon as I see them, I never DM them. I never reply because I'm like, yeah, like this person they just screwed their entire month with this because they're gonna spend every waking hour sifting through DMs and emails to get through the stupidity. Yeah. So. Well, so all right. I guess thing on this here is something that it's talked about a lot on like the broker side. I guess would even say the carrier side. And me personally, I've come to the conclusion that I feel it's wrong, and I would like your opinion. I think the audience would like your opinion as a shipper. Salesy talk or just me being me when I call you, Paul? Do you want me to give you some stupid ass spiel or like, hey, look, Paul?
I get. When I'm looking for brokers, I know the guy that sending me the form email. You know, I really do. Probably get 20 a day. You know what I mean? If somebody is if I see somebody, like if I'm looking for somebody and I look at it, whether it be on LinkedIn or and I look and I see that he has like, 10, 15 years experience. So I know the guy knows what the hell he's doing and know what he's talking about. He maybe even does things like the old fashioned way, has a book of business, doesn't have to go to the load boards, has trucks, right? That's the kind of guys I'm looking for. I'm looking for a guy that, you know what I mean? I don't ride my trucks when rates are cheap, and I don't want them to ride me when when they could the deal. They want $5,000 over the market because and I have those kind of brokers now. I kind of lost my train of thought.
No, it's
Sorry.
all good. It's all good. You said
Sorry.
exactly what I was what we are looking for.
The sales part of it. I'm on track now. The sales part of it doesn't hit me. First of all, it's not authentic. You know what I mean? If somebody wrote that speech, I used to write speeches for when I was on Wall Street. I wrote speeches for cold callers. I know a freaking speech when I see it. You know what I mean? Or an email when I see it. And I don't want the blind copy that he's probably sending to 100 different people. You know what I mean? You got something to say, like you could dazzle the shit out of me. It won't be the first time somebody wrote me an email. You know what I mean? The freaking dazzle. I said, you know what? I'm going to give this guy a shot, just out of the blue. Just said, you know what? I'm going to give you a shot. And I don't think people realize. Like I was just in Monterey, and a guy. I do a lot of loads out of Fresno, a lot of loads, and the guy has a trucking company in Fresno. So I said, you know what, this might, it's a trucking company. I always ask, the guy says, yeah, we have our own assets. How many trucks you have? Oh, we have 1 and 2 trailers. You know what I mean? And then they tell you, they have their own. So I said, how many trucks do you have? You got 30 trucks. Okay. We got this. Okay. I could do, what's your rate from New York? 1 and 1 from, Fresno to New York. And the guy tells me 8,100. I said, buddy, if that's your rates, we're not going to do too much business because I just did a 3 drop today for 73. So I just want you to realize what you're up against going in, because that's what happens. Somebody will try to break into that list, and then they realize they don't want to compete or they can't compete. Now, listen, there are people that can compete that don't want to. It's for me. I tell this to my brokers: if you could get 500 more than I'm paying, you're supposed to get $500 more than you're paying. You understand? Just because I want to pay this doesn't mean that, you know what I mean? I'm supposed to pay as little as I can and be fair, and you're supposed to get as much as you can and be fair. And we're going to meet on a few loads. We're not going to meet on every load. And I also know there are guys that sometimes, you guys probably know this. There are guys that sometimes are just running. They got this lane going, and they just blow everybody out of the water. Like nobody's even close, and they'll run with that for 2, 3, 4 weeks. And I take it. Like I don't want to I don't want to tell you the trucking company. If you're around long enough, you probably know this trucking company. Just by what their deal is, they give you cheap rates for like 2 weeks, right? And they're blowing money. They're blowing money because I know they're blowing money because they can't be that good or that far off, right? And then the third week, they think that you got them tied up. You know what I mean? Like they think that I've been giving them 10 loads. I'm going to give them. So now the rate went from 7,000 to 9,000. So I tell them no. What do you mean no, buddy? I'm not paying 9,000. The rate's 7,400. But but what? You know what I mean? So you gave me 2
I'm
trucks.
gonna need to get that carrier's name just for scientific purposes and case studies in the logistics space.
You got to call me. I'll tell you who it is. But it's business is not hard, right? You could do it. I know people in this business that don't do it the right way and made a lot of money, and they soar like a rocket and fizzle out just as fast or burn bridges on the way down. And slow and steady is just the way to go. Build your reputation. Build your reputation. Build your book that you're not going to load boards. You know what I mean? the old way is really the best way. I feel that way about trucking. I feel that way about produce. If you're going to the load boards and adding, 5% or 10% or 500 or 700, whatever, you're in competition with, 3 million of you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how many are, you know what I mean? But everybody's the same shit. Another thing I believe is that if one guy could do it, another guy can do it, right? So one guy may be willing to take 5 of my loads for 200 over, and he figures he's making 1,000 for the day. You know what I mean? Other people might say, you know what, I'm not working for 200. It's not enough. And believe me, I understand that. And I always tell people, you're not in business to give me I never want any of my brokers to give me a rate that loses them money. Now, I understand that happens sometimes when trucks fall through, you know what I mean? But I don't want you to come at, just like when I have my independents, nobody's beating those guys. Those guys, they call me the day before they're going to get there, 2 days before I'm going to be there. They always get loaded first. I always give them a little more. They're always a little less when the gouges are out, and that's just the way we work. So I don't even post those loads. You know what I mean? Because I know a broker. You know what I mean? And I got to be honest with you. Some of my trucks are so good that I give them the broker rate on my loads. That's how good the truck is. You know what I mean? I'll actually say, the broker rate's 7,500. That's what I'm going to give you today.
Hats off to you for that, brother.
You're a saint, Paul. You're a damn saint.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow.
I love that, man. That's what I like, man. Paul, is like I said a couple times on the show, man. You just you give it to people how it is, and I like that. I think that's a thing that's really missing from our industry, and kind of what we try to make our show about, man. Is everyone's always prim, proper, big words and fancy emails and fucking sales pitches, and it's like, dude, at the end of the day, we're all going home and we're all arguing with the wife about who's doing the dishes. You know what I mean? We all have to take the dog out. It
ain't me.
It's at the end of the day, everyone is the same, man. It really is. We're all just people in this business trying to make money, trying to get the most that we can out of everything, and that authenticity is something that is sorely missing. And I've completely got away from the sales pitch. I was just telling my boss this today. Like, every now and then he asks me, "Hey man, like, what are you saying on your sales calls?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm just not wasting time." I was like, "I'm just being upfront with these fucking people. Like, they get a million of me calling them a day. The last thing they need is to hear me for 45 seconds blabbering about all the technology I got. You know what I mean?" So, again, because no one likes to hear that. Let's be real. Nobody likes sales calls, especially when you're at work. I've got shit to do, man. I've got stuff sitting on my dock, and I've got a driver over here that's about to strangle the forklift driver, okay? Yeah. Like, I ain't got time to be messing with you answering all your stupid questions right now.
Well, here's my thing about it, too, man.
I want to do a public service announcement to all the receivers out there that want to abuse truck drivers. Remember, that stuff doesn't get there without them. Be nice. It's nice to be nice. We're all having a tough day. They got your stuff there. Sometimes it's late. Sometimes it's early. I know what it's like. Be nice. That's it. That's my public service announcement.
I like it. That's Paul trying to not to get canceled.
No, eventually I will be canceled. Unfortunately.
Well, no, you won't, because you can just come on our show and say whatever the hell you want, Paul.
Hey, all I'm saying is, man, if my boss hasn't got canceled yet, then you ain't.
I know, that's right.
But this is what I was leaning into, though, and Paul, what you're talking about, man, it is like it resonates with me because, like I said, I work in this wine industry, so it really blows my mind that produce is not more of a niche than it is, because people see it. When I worked at TQO when I first got in this business, and the first thing they gave us is a list of the produce schedule. All right, and I have gotten on phone calls with CEOs, owners of farms, and you look like a fool. And I stopped calling them because I didn't know enough about it. But working from my side of the industry and the wine, it's the same with you with the produce. The farmers, they spend their time out there cultivating these farms, man. This produce isn't just freight. It's an art. It's an art form in its own way, and it deserves that respect. So what you're saying with taking care of your people, you recognize those that actually understand the business and understand what it really is rather than just a way to make money. That speaks volumes. And you take care of yours and they take care of you. And that business is easy, man. People make it hard. You can't just go after that dollar.
Yeah.
It's not that $1,000 rip that one day, man. It's like, hey, I got to make sure this guy stays in business. It's not just my customer, man. That's his customers. That's the people.
I always say, if my customers don't make money with me, they don't need
You ain't
me.
making money.
No, they don't need me. You know what I mean? So I got to make sure, I always say, I'm the last guy that gets paid. In other words, I make sure my growers get paid a fair price. I make sure the receivers have a price that they can sell the stuff. You know what I mean? What if there's something left in the middle, that's for me. You know what I mean? But they got to be taken care of first. You always have to, I always say, one of my other Paulyisms, I never met a load I could retire on. So I just try to do, a few of them every day. You know what I mean? So,
oh my God. Put that on a t-shirt.
I was just going to say that. Paulyisms.
Now, listen, you got to call me after this call because I got one. You could all be on, conference call me because I want you all to laugh together.
Let's stick with
you
this.
Promise you're going to call. You promise you're going to call.
I'm gonna call. Hold on, let me make sure I still got your number. I think I do, Paul. Yep, I still do. I still have your number. Have your number. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't wait to hear this.
Oh,
shit.
You're gonna love.
I can't wait to hear this shit. Oh my God. So, I before we let you go, Paul, I want to say that today you have earned 2 new monikers. All right, you are now the Dawn of Peppers. All right, the Dawn of Peppers. All right, yeah, the Dawn of Peppers. And because I forgot about your report, I used to read that. Do you not still email that out?
No, I just do it on LinkedIn.
Okay, about to say because I thought I used to get it to my email. So all right, I'll have to go figure out how I can make sure I get notifications of that. But also,
I usually do it on Mondays and Thursdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's usually my. Yeah.
I'll just go turn on notifications for you on LinkedIn. That way I make sure I don't miss it. But on that note, your second moniker is the Nostradamus of produce. With your
I love Nostradamus.
The Nostradamus of produce, man. Oh my gosh, dude. This was freaking awesome, Paul. We got to have your ass on more often, dude. I forgot how much of a character you are, man.
Anytime, buddy. Anytime.
Good, dude. Well, hey, Hunter, Steve, do you guys got anything you want to ask or talk to Paul about before we start winding things down?
I'm good. I just appreciate the hell out of you, Paul. I mean, you get it, man, and I think a lot of people can learn from you. You are a crazy guy. I don't really like New York. Go Braves. You talk about the Mets, and I'm over here pinching my leg just to hold myself from saying something. But no, it's awesome, man. Like I love having you on the show, man, and I hope more people, take something from this. So keep it up, man.
Yeah, if you guys, if you ever go to the New York Produce Show, make sure you come on my tour because I got stories for 3 hours. 3 hours of produce stories of the Hunts Point Market.
Hey, if there's one in California, let me know. I'd go out there.
I'll be in California in October in Anaheim.
Okay.
Cool. And I usually make a trip in the fall to Fresno.
Sweet. How close is Fresno to Paso? Because that's where we're located.
Fresno, SoCal.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, I thought that was Central Valley. Okay.
Or maybe it is Central Valley. Yeah.
I don't know. California is huge. I'm still learning it, man.
Yeah.
But that's all I got, Steve.
Fresno's right near Yosemite.
Oh yeah, so he's right. It's NorCal. I'm wrong. I'm fucking wrong, Hunter.
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, as a fellow New Yorker, Paul, it was great to meet you. I love your energy. I love your stories. Definitely be following you. I'll be requesting on LinkedIn to follow you as well. But yeah, man, just I'm visually still thinking back to that guy stealing that apple and you plugging him in the back of the head as he's running away.
Yeah, that's straight out of Seinfeld.
Yeah, right. So keep doing what you do, man. I love people that are just real, man. And you are the real thing, Paul.
Thank you.
The polyisms are catching on outside of produce. Natasha says, "Please tell me this polyisms." Natasha's a good friend of ours, man. That's
Well, you could tell her, but I just don't want to. I just don't want to say it on your show because
yeah, you're good.
some people. Listen, it's all in fun, but some people get their panties all tightened. You know what I mean?
They do, man. Yeah, they do. You're right, man. They try to make that bikini a thong, brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Paul. Hey, you can you stick around. We are just going to do some final sponsor stuff. So, hey, if you can hold for 5 minutes, you don't have to wait for the call. We'll just end the show and then we'll all be backstage and then we can talk crap. So,
all right.
Let me get my breath here. I don't know why the hell I'm out of breath. I'm out of breath. But, let me get my train of thought. Oh, sponsors. Hey, Paul's talking about moving stuff across the country. And, a broker's line to him, carrier's line said, "Hey man, truck's here when it's really there." And, we have got an easy way for you to not have to worry about that. And that's our good friends over at Trailer Century and 7P GPS. Not only does Trailer Century an amazing anti-theft solution, but it also has GPS tracking. So you can see everywhere that truck goes. And they also have disposable GPS trackers that you can buy and throw into your freight so you can track it and the driver isn't even going to know, right? So lovely, lovely stuff there. You can hit them up, 7pgps.com, or you can email them at sales@7pgps, and make sure you tell them that you heard about it on the Logistics Lounge. And if you decide that you're going to be truthful about where your truck's location is, but you don't have to worry about a place to park, we've got a solution for that too, and that's our good friends over there at Freight Ninja. They have got dozens and dozens of locations across the country. They're all gated, they're all lighted. Some of them have security. They're near all the things that you need for as a driver, like fuel stops, diesel repair, grocery shopping, all of that good stuff that can be hard to find out there on the road. You can go find them at freightninja.com and make sure that you use the code Lounge Ninja so you can get yourself some special rates. And Mr. Dre, Mr. Hound, any exiting comments, questions, concerns, any of that good stuff?
Scott Hound, what you thinking up there?
Just now tuning in. Go back and watch the show. It'll be worth it. Also, check out truckernewshub.com. Also, check out Mr. Paul Manfre across all platforms and let him know that you are the expert of the pepper industry. I'm just joking. Don't do that. Unless you want to get yelled at. But honestly, a good way to get yelled at and learn a little bit of getting some thick skin in the game. If you want to find out if you're cut out for this industry or not, call Mr. Paul Manfre below. He'll let you know real quick. So that's about all I got. But hey, Paul, you've been a great guest, man. And Pedro, I just want to say too, man, I love this round two of people that we've had on the show before because, Paul, he was a shy guy the first time he came around, but now, all opened up and gung.
Shy is not a word in Paul's vocabulary.
Yeah. I was never accused of being shy in my life.
Oh, man.
When the other boys were
busting balls.
In kindergarten, all the boys that didn't want to play with the girls, I was kissing them online. So,
yeah. Paul invented the internet in the produce market in New York. So if y'all don't know that,
yeah, I was outdoor produce.
That's where he invested that $125,000 that he made that one day in the 80s. So, hey, what wonderful show. We had an amazing turnout today. Thanks to everybody for watching, joining us on your Wednesday afternoon. But Friday, this Friday to be exact, we have the one, the only truck show Jim. Boat show.
No.
Joe,
Yeah,
Jim.
Truck
show Joe. That's who it is. Truck Show Joe, Mr. Joe Eldridge. You all know him. He goes to, all the truck shows. And he works for Southern Transport out of Kilgore, Texas. We're going to have him on the show. He's going to talk to us about how he got in the industry and tell us a little bit about Southern Transport and all the amazing things they do. Hopefully, he's going to be in the shop there at Southern Transport and going to have all their beautiful rigs in the background. So don't miss that this Friday, 4 p.m., Truck Show Joe. And as I always say, chunk them deuces. Mr. Hound, roll that beautiful bean footage.
The views and opinions expressed on this show by its guests are not necessarily those of Lounge Media Group or the show host. So if you sue someone, make sure it's the party responsible for hurting your feelings. Also, grow up, be an adult, and understand not everyone thinks like you. And that's okay.